This week I'm using some geometric products, papers and paper towel, to make this friendship card. And the front says it takes a long time to grow an old friend. And it's got an element of sparkle and also some suede paper. And I love the chevrons, which are very trendy. And on the inside, I use both on the front and the inside. I use some paper towel. So stay tuned to see how to make this card. In this project, I've used the Geometrix 3D Pyramid Paper Towel, which is these two sheets together. And then I've also used some Powder Blue Suede Paper, the Scalloped Frames Template, and can't forget the Geometric Paper Pack, which is right here. So let's get started with the card. I'm starting with my 6.5 inch by 5 inch blank card, and the first thing I'm going to do is cover the entire front with this awesome chevron paper because it's my favorite paper of the bunch. So I'm going to go ahead and glue it to the back of the paper and then just make 2 straight cuts, and that'll be it for covering the front. Next I'm going to take the Easy Scalloped Frames template, and I kind of want a shape on my card that's kind of going diagonally across the card, and I'm going to make that out of this blue suede paper, which is nice and soft and fuzzy. Gives an extra dimension as well as an extra texture to your card. So I'm going to place this on my suede paper just so. And I'm kind of looking both at the suede paper and at my card just to make sure that the shape will land on the card the same way as it does here on the suede paper. Okay, so I have it kind of tilted, and I just kind of marked it with my thumbs where the shape ended on the card so I could replicate that on the suede paper. And now I will trace this largest line here and cut out this shape and glue it back onto my card. That's looking great so far. So now I'm going to move on to my greeting. Now I've punched out some of the shapes of the Geometrix Pyramid Paper Towel, and these are the shapes I'm going to be using. There are 4 shapes in total, and as you can see they get stacked on top of each other. So there will be 4 layers in the traditional method of paper towel, and these would get foam tape in between each layer to kind of stack up to a pyramid, so it gives it a really three-dimensional look. However, I'm going to split these up, so I'm going to take these first and last shapes together, and I'm going to save these 2 second and third shapes for the inside. So these shapes are going to get stacked on each other, and they're going to go in the corner here. Now this top shape is going to get trimmed off, but first I want to stamp on my label here the greeting I'm using. So make sure you stamp your greeting before you stack it with foam tape, because it's really difficult to stamp on top of something that's been foam taped. So I'm using the Heart to Heart stamp set, and I want to use the "It takes a long time to grow an old friend" stamp. However, I want to split it up into 2 separate greetings. So I want the long time part to be on the front of the card and then old friend to be on the inside. So I'm going to show you a technique on how to do that. There are a couple different ways to accomplish this, but I'm going to use the method of masking with another scrap paper. First I'm going to ink up my stamp, and I'm using this jet black StazOn. And the surface of the paper towel is a little bit slick, so that's why the StazOn stays on nicely. So it's one of my favorite ink pads. I've got the stamp on a clear acrylic block here. This is I think it's a 2 by 2 inch one. I'm going to go ahead and ink up the top half of my greeting. I could ink up the whole thing since I'm using the masking method, but this just makes it extra easy to, in case I go over with the ink. Alright, so as you can see, I've got the top part inked up, but I want to mask the bottom part off. And you can also put a piece of Scotch tape across the bottom part, or you can use the method of kind of masking it with a piece of paper here. So let's see, I want it to be centered. Alright, right about there. And just be careful when you're pressing down that you make sure both of the lines have touched the paper. Okay, so there's the first part of my greeting. So there's a little bit closer look at that label. Now I'm moving on to the label on the inside of the card, which is this one right here. So it's got 2 layers of chevrons on it. So I've cleaned off the stamp and I'm inking now the bottom half of the greeting with my StazOn. And it's okay if I get a little extra because I'm going to end up masking that off anyway. So here we go. I've got my label here and my masking scrap of paper will go there. And just make sure that nothing that you don't want will end up on the label. Okay, so there we have it. And that is one of the techniques you can use to split a single stamp into 2 different greetings. Back to the front of the card, I've got this piece of paper towel which I'm going to glue in the top corner, and it will go off the card, but I'm just simply going to trim the extra part off. Now I'm putting plenty of glue stick on here because it takes a little bit extra to stick to this fuzzy suede paper. So I want it right about there. Looks good to me. And then I can flip the card over and simply cut off that piece. Now that makes a cute little piece that could maybe go on the inside, so save that. And this is going to go foam tape this piece right here. So here's the front of the card so far. Now I'm going to add a little sparkle to this card, and I'm going to do that by using one of my favorite sparkly products, which is stickles. So this is the silver stickles, and it's kind of just like glitter glue, and you just simply squeeze in place and make sure to let it dry for plenty of time so you don't smear anything. So you might want to save this step for the end after you've done the inside, unless you want to wait for this to dry and then do the inside, but it's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and decorate the front, so I'm just going to make a dotted line and test it out on this piece of paper towel first. Looks like it's working properly. Sometimes you might get a bubble in here too. I just kind of tap it on the table with the cap on, of course. Okay, so I'm just going to make a dashed line a little bit inside of this curved edge. The key to doing this is to have steady pressure on the bottle while moving your hand steadily. So it does take a little bit of coordination, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes kind of fun and easy to do. Once that's dry, I'm going to go ahead and add a nice little bow to my card. And this grosgrain ribbon comes from the geometric ribbon set, which isn't in this bundle for this week, but you can get it separately and it goes perfectly with everything geometric. So I'm going to attach this to my card using Zots, one of my other favorite things to use. So there are these little dry kind of glue dots on here. I'm going to stick the back of the knot onto the glue dot and pull up, and it picks it right up. I'll do a few since it's a little bit bigger bow. I want it to stick on nicely. Okay, so now I've got 3 Zots on here, and I'm going to go ahead and place my bow right about there. Alright, so that's the front of the card. Now time to move on to the inside. For the inside, I'm going to go back to my Scalloped Frames template. Here's the rest of my suede paper. I'm going to turn it to the back so it's easier to trace. And I'm going to trace and cut out the 4-inch scalloped frame here. So just taking my pencil, and that's this teal colored shape here. And I'm also going to, at the same time here, I'm going to trace the next size down of scalloped frame, which is the 3-inch. So I'm tracing 2 at once because I want to cut out a frame, not just a shape. So after this, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the outer shape first, and then I'll cut out the inner shape. I've cut out the outer shape, and now I'm going to take my knife here and cut out the inner shape. It might be helpful to go back with your pencil and fill in these little gaps. I just do it freehand, but you can also use the template by flipping it over to the opposite side and retracing, and that will fill in all the gaps for you. I find that it's just easier to kind of just eyeball it and sketch in the curve. And then I'll go ahead and carefully cut it out. So now I have my 4-inch outer frame, and this is the 3-inch shape on the inside. So I'm going to set the 3-inch aside and then go back to the inside of the card and get started. So the first thing I've done on the inside is cover it with this mustard yellow geometric pattern. And I've got my 2 pieces that I'm going to stack on the inside. So I'm first going to glue down this piece right in the center. Now before I glue on, or I foam tape this piece on, I'm going to glue down the frame. Now I'm going to cut this shape in half lengthwise, and it's also going on the inside of the card. Okay, so here, this shape is going to be glued over here, and this shape over here. And finally, I'm going to foam tape this on the center, right there. And I'm also going to add a few more stickle accents to complement the front, and then we'll be done. So I've got the stickles lining the outside of each of these shapes, and that's the finished inside. Here once again is the front of the finished card, and remember to give your stickles plenty of time to dry and to test them before you go ahead and close your card. So that's today's card. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the bundle of savings, and thanks for joining me this week, and I'll see you guys again next week. First in this week's bundle we have the geometric paper pack, and it comes with these 6 papers, and you're getting 2 of each paper, so 12 papers in all. And it's got a fun geometric design with some really fresh color combinations, some bright colors. This is a nice vibrant green with a geometric white kind of line design on here. And then we also have some more subtle colors, so a dark gray with a nice texture and pattern on there, and then a blue and gray geometric design on this one. So I really love that these are smaller patterns and they really provide a nice background. And this one's got the border along the bottom with the really pretty and very trendy chevrons. Next we have the Geometrix 3D Pyramid Paper Tool, and that comes with both sheets that you see here, and they're all die cut. As you can see, these are actually falling out because they're so easy to take out. And you're getting 1, 2, 3, 4 completed stacked images, although you can always use them separately. Also in the bundle we have a beautiful sheet of suede paper, and this is in powder blue, so blue suede paper, very fun. And then we also have the Easy Scalloped Frames Template, and this can be used on pretty much every project or any project. There's so many different ways to use them. There's plenty of different sizes. You can use portions of them. So this is one of my favorite templates.